Hi, I'm Anthony Davis from 5 Minute News. Marjorie Taylor Greene has tweeted, "We need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government." She says, "Everyone I talk to says this, from the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrats' traitorous America Last policies. We are done." I've been thinking a lot about state warfare and how over time, it's already started happening, but over time, more and more Democrats will gravitate towards blue states and Republicans and MAGA Republicans, and the far right will gravitate towards red states. And this is something that is potentially very dangerous, especially in a country where there is a proliferation of firearms. So the civil war that some people predict could actually happen, a kind of turf warfare across borders. It's not something I'm looking forward to. I don't want to tempt fate, but it is a reality, and it is starting to happen in small amounts. When you hear about people trying to take on the federal government, there was a guy who went to an FBI building with guns because he was unhappy about what he'd been told by the right-wing news media, and so he was aggrieved towards the FBI because he thought that they were biased in some way and decided to take matters into his own hands, and he ended up being shot and killed. I mean, this is the reality now for the United States, is that those United States will be anything but. And as long as we have extremists in politics, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who care nothing for civility or for what was a tradition on Capitol Hill, certainly, where you didn't rubbish the other side with such specific language and to be so explicit about the opposition, which are to her the enemy, and seeing the opposition as the enemy other than just another side of the democratic process. An opposition is healthy. But the fact that she's referring to Democrats as traitorous and America Last, it's actually not based in truth. And if you were to look at Democrat policies, they are not anything like what she would tell you. But creating this kind of feeling of this kind of anti-woke narrative is very helpful to people who want to just burn the whole system down. And a functioning democracy needs government. And you can't have 330 million people in a country and at the same time think that, you want to have some kind of shrunken government. There's a lot of people to govern. There is a system. And also a lot of the people are employed by the government. And, as one of the largest employers in the country, and I include the military in this, that's all government employees, effectively. So this kind of rhetoric of wanting to shrink the government and having less regulation and fewer rules, it actually flies in the face of a country that is to this kind of scale. I mean, those things can work very well in smaller countries, and we've seen that in Scandinavian nations. They have high taxation, but people are kind of left to their own devices, and the system works. But that's because there's so few people in the country, they can actually have a system like that. So my concern, and just reacting to Marjorie Taylor Greene specifically, she is a senior member of Congress, a senior member of the Republican Party, and she is calling for a national divorce. Now, just think about that for a second. She is requesting an increasing level of division. She is wanting to split people further apart, and that's part of the problem that we have here in the United States, is that people think they should be in one camp or the other. People are very keen to kind of compartmentalize your politics. And, it shouldn't be like that. We're all the same. We all breathe the same air. Prick us and we shall bleed. And yet, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are coming from a place of separating humans, whether it be black and white, or straight and gay, or trans or cis. Do you see what I mean? There is this desire to put people in one compartment or the other. And she wants to take the white Christian nationalist people with her, the people who are straight and straight talking, and that I think is just very dangerous for society. Now, this is not a kind of political view from my perspective. This is more of a humanity view. This is a cultural view that a country like the US is never going to kind of undo what has been done. We're never going to go back to a time when Republicans and Democrats could converse quite easily, be friends, live in the same house. We're never going to go back to that. Once the genie is out of the bottle, you're kind of stuck. That has become unwound. That kind of notion of civility between the two parties has become unwound. And so I do think there's a large number of people who think, oh, how do we get back to that? How do we get back to a time when Republicans and Democrats aren't enemies, where Republicans are not just talking down to anybody who is not in that kind of extremist or MAGA Republican political space. And the bad news that I am delivering today is that I don't think that's ever going to change. In fact, it's only going to get worse. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet is an example of that. We need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states. That is a threat. That is sedition. And that is an announcement that she puts out on President's Day. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5 Minute News podcast. And if you want to hear more from me, please become a subscriber on my Patreon page, patreon.com/5minutenews.
The best part of waking up? MAGA Tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA Tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.